Hello everyone, welcome back to Expedition Builds. You know, if you own a newer Jeep, you quickly realize how slow it is to respond to throttle inputs. Now we have a few choices in the marketplace to help us tune our throttles. I've been running the pedal commander on my Jeep for the last couple of years and I've really loved it. It does what it says it's supposed to do, increase throttle response, and allows me to adjust that. However, recently, Mike from iDrive sent me one of their new units and asked me to give this a try. So here's the plan. We're going to install the new iDrive unit on my Jeep, and we're going to do a back-to-back comparison with the iDrive unit versus the pedal commander. We'll see if there's any differences, we'll see if there's any advantage to either of the units. So let's get this installed on the Jeep and do some testing and see what we find. Okay, so here's a look at the two units side by side. Also, now you can see the pedal commander. I've had this on my Jeep for about 2.5 years. It's worked great. Alright guys, here's a quick look at how I've got my current pedal commander routed. You can see I've got it coming out right underneath the steering column. It's worked good. I don't use it a lot. I will switch it mainly when I'm on the trail, when I want a less sensitive throttle. And then I've found that once I find a setting I like for the street, I kind of leave it there. It's not something I fuss with a lot. All right, real quick, well, I've got both of these devices out. Just a different way of doing the same thing. This is the pigtail, the end of the pedal commander. So you've got, this goes on top of the throttle. This hooks to the throttle wiring harness. On the iDrive, looks a little different, does the same thing. This will hook to the top of the throttle pedal. This will hook to the factory wiring harness. So let's get this installed and give it a try. This is the lead coming off the top of my throttle here, and I pulled this little metal panel off just so we can get access to this, because this wiring harness on my Jeep is pretty short. So I'm removing now the throttle, the pedal commander. Let's get that out. And then we can go ahead and we'll attach back into the factory harness here and the other end of the new iDrive on the top of the throttle. All right, just to make this a little simpler, since I've got the factory harness coming off the top of the throttle, I'm going to make this connection here now while I've got this open. All right, good. Now we'll feed the rest of this down and we'll get hooked up to the top of the throttle. Okay, so we've got our wiring harness all plugged in and snapped, so you can see I've got this whip coming out. That's going to go up to the iDrive. Let's go ahead and put everything back together. Okay, now that we've run the wiring harness, it's time to connect the iDrive itself onto the top of this harness. Let's get this lined up. Make our connection. There we go. Okay, now what I'm going to do next is I'm going to reinstall this kick panel. And then we'll drive the iDrive for a little bit and I'll figure out where I'm going to mount this, and then I can come back and we'll tidy everything up. But I think it's going to live right there. But for right now, I want to experience it a little bit, use it for a day or two, and then we'll mount it up. So we'll be back for that. Okay, so the new iDrive unit's installed in the Jeep, and we're out doing first tests. So we're up to operating temperature. I've got the unit set to economy 1, and I'm going to run economy 1 through 9 now, and let's see how this feels, just kind of block to block. Okay, so there's definitely a difference. You can definitely feel the differences between switching up and down numerically. Alright, so the economy modes 1 through 9, you can feel the difference, each being a little more sensitive as we move up the range, but it's nice and smooth. There's not a lot of quick hard step down on the transmission, so these are nice. Alright, now I'm going to switch it over to Ultimate. So on the U setting, and let's go, here's 1. Wow, okay. Going from the economy setting over to the U or Ultimate setting, even on number 1, the lowest setting, it's a huge difference in throttle response. Let's see what 2 feels like. Okay, so here's what I notice. Throttle inputs are very crisp, and let me get to this next block here and get some open road in front of me. Yeah, that's what it's doing. Okay, so here's what we got. On the Ultimate, it feels like it's working better with the transmission shift. It's holding the downshift longer, holding the gear longer, which, without me putting my foot way into the throttle, allows me to work the engine right up in the heart of the power band. This feels great, really great. I'm surprised at how much difference I feel between these maps and the pedal commander. So we're a little over halfway through. Here's 5. Yeah, this is nice. Six. Slow down here a little bit so I don't get a ticket. Yeah, this is great. This really is bringing things to life. All right, let's try U9, see how this feels. Wow. Okay. That'll hold, U9 looks like it'll hold your downshift to damn near red line. I wasn't staying in it all the way, but okay, so that's the differences I'm seeing immediately back to back, is that feels like more sensitive maps, and it feels like it's more effectively working with the transmission to hold downshift. So in other words, we're not just adding accelerator pedal feel and quick response, but it feels to me like the iDrive is working in conjunction with the transmission a little better. So I'm liking this a lot right now. All right, now last mode I'm going to try is AC. An AC mode is an adaptive mode, and I think this is a very cool feature because this will give increased throttle response, but will allow the system to adapt to the way I like to drive. So it's kind of adapting to what my normal is, but cleaning everything up. So I think this is going to be a really great feature. I want to run AC for a while, and let me get a few more miles in on this and see how this feels, but I think this is going to be the way to go. Okay, so we've been running AC for a couple blocks now, a few miles, and this is great because it's learning the way I drive. I'm not going to sit here and play with settings, so we can leave this set on AC and just run it. but throttle response is really clean. Shifts are super sharp. This unit, the iDrive, is definitely hanging on to shift points a little longer. So it just feels like the Jeep is working better than it did before. I'm really loving this thing. So let's get a few more miles on this thing, but on the AC, on the adaptive setting, throttle response is really quick right off the bottom, so it feels like you've done something to it. Yeah, it's nice. And if we I mean, that was, if you get into it, that was 2-gear downshift and off we go. So AC might be the setup. So there you go. We get a few more miles and report back. Alright, so here's where I mounted the iDrive. As you can see, it's high up on the dash. It's not something I'm going to be touching a lot or using a lot. I'm going to run it on AC. So I think it's going to live very well right there. It's up and out of the way. Easy to use. The time I'll be switching it was when I hit the trails. And that is about the only time I'll be playing with the settings. So once I off-road, we'll be able to reach right up there, switch it over to one of the E settings, and go from there. But it's tucked up, it's nice and out of the way, very clean install. So I was speaking with Chris from iDrive about how he runs his unit, how he's set up. So he said his advice was AC on the street, normal daily driving, which I find to be just perfect. He also has some good recommendations. So he said if he's in sand or mud, he'll run a setting U9, so the ultimate on the higher range, which will give you an instant hit of power to get you powered up out of whatever you're stuck in, mud or sand. I think that would be really good advice. And then he said if he's in low range, he'll run like an E1. So E1 to E3, which, is a very soft throttle response, very controlled. So that sounds like it'd be good advice. And when we get out on the trail, I'll definitely be checking that out, because that is a time when I do change my my control units. When I get to the trail, you don't want it as responsive. You want to be able to slow things down, kind of like what Jeep had set up originally, right? They've got this very slow, very deliberate throttle response, and that's great for in the rocks when you're crawling. But so anyways, just food for thought, right? U9 for sand and mud to get you unstuck. I certainly wouldn't run it on the street. It'd be a little hard on the equipment. It is hard and fast with a really big hit. So that feels like you're just pushing your equipment way too hard. But the adjustability of this thing is fantastic, and sure am loving the way it drives. So hats off to iDrive. They definitely have a better program. We're going to run this on my Jeep. Alright guys, I gotta say that I'm liking the iDrive better than my pedal commander, and here's why. The iDrive unit's working better with the automatic transmission in my Jeep. Shifts are better, downshifts seem to happen at the right moments. It holds the gears a little bit longer, so allows you to push the engine up in the power band, and it's just super responsive. So I'm going to say that I believe that iDrive's got a better map, a better program for the throttle than what I found with my pedal commander, and frankly I'm surprised. I was thinking that they would be, pretty much two of the same things, but after a little seat time with the iDrive, this is the one that's going to stay in my Jeep. This simply works better. I love the way it feels. It kind of took things to a new level. Like I said, my pedal commander was good. It did what it said it would do, and I enjoyed driving with it. But the iDrive is simply better. Let's put it at that. I hope you've enjoyed this review, and please hit the subscribe button. Until next time, stay safe, and we'll see you on the trails.